Really now, a shoelace. A shoelace at the beginning of the show. Welcome back to the monkey business that is After Hours. Oh, come on, shoe. Why is it always a fight? Alright. Shoelace fixed. Welcome back. Something a bit different today, and if I go and show you this, that's not going to say much about the thumbnail you may or may not have seen. Anyhow, we're going to get in. I need to, let's flip it back over here for a minute. I have to type a password in. Alright, we're logged in. Let's see if we can send a display out. Is it that simple? Is it that refined for this particular distribution? We got apps opening, we got stuff closing. Check this out, you should appreciate this. I'm using my embarrassing screen again that's missing a spot. Right there. This pixel's missing. Don't care. Alright, and can we get in? Oh. Okay, so give me a moment. I'm not super duper familiar with this particular distro and where they have the stuff at. Let's do that. Let's mirror and hit apply. Alright, so we found... What? Yeah, keep the changes. Okay. Orientation, what is the res? 1280 by 720? Sure. So, give me a sec here. I'm going to go into OBS. Let's pick device default. There we go. Alright, and I just have to drag it out a little. So, other than figuring out how to flip the displays on this particular distribution of Linux here, and finding out where they park the sun on the flat earth, it's true. It's not just a rumor. It's very true. Let's do that. Okay. It's making this stuff all the same. Attempting to anyhow. Alright, so the whole thing here is installing Linux. That's what I wanted to work on. It's already installed on this laptop, but I'm not super duper fond of this distro. So let's click it on, click it off. And that brought my channels back in Restream. Restream, you gotta get your game together. I'm not super happy with it. It's not working as it should. Alright, anyhow, where's my flash drive? Over here. Okay, so let me take a look. We're going to plug in a flash drive. We have a copy of another distro on this flash drive. Plug it in, and it should mount. There it is. We'll open files. And then HP tools, and we want the Arch. I'm going to copy and then paste it to downloads. Alright, we also need a flash drive to do this with, so why not? Let's find the one. I have one on a set of keys. It is USB 3. Will that benefit with an installer? Probably not. Maybe. Maybe. So as soon as that finishes copying, or did it? Did it? Let's just do this again. We're going to put a copy in documents just to see how long it takes. Okay. So that literally took no time. That being done, let's unmount this USB drive and we're going to wipe out this other flash drive. This is one we were using to transfer the ISO file, the Arch ISO. We're going to install this here, and we need to go to one of our programs. Gparted will be the one. We're going to find that. Where is it? There you be. Alright, we're going to select our flash drive here. There it is. It's actually trying to find out why it's seeing. Oh, okay. Give me one sec. We're going to unmount it. Now we'll have access to, should be able to delete it, possibly. Let's refresh again. And no, it disappeared. So it couldn't lock it. Either way, skip over that. We're going to open a terminal. Now, what we're looking at here, give me a moment, we're going to flip over to my LCD instead of the laptop that we're on there. This is where you can go to download Arch Linux. It's just simply archlinux.org. That will bring you to this page. Go ahead and click on downloads, and there are a number of ways to get the ISO file for downloading. I did it with BitTorrent. You could get a netboot. What that does is it's a basic installer and installs from the network. You have to set up the network for it though to like get connected to the internet so it can download the latest packages and whatnot. And then there are direct downloads, and you can get them from different countries. The closest country to you will probably be faster than one halfway around the world, but you never know. There is an installation guide, and that's what we're going to work on here. Another thing, if you're on Windows, and I don't know if they make this for Mac, let's go ahead and check. It is a program called Rufus. There is also another, I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing any DMGs or anything like that. Possibly Yumi exist or UNetbootin. Yeah, we don't need any of that. But this is the program that we would use on Windows to create a bootable installer, and you can use it for more than just creating like a Linux distribution. You can make utilities for like booting up a computer, Hiren's boot CD. I can't even think of some of the names of them. Kaspersky, Yumi has a real good list of what it is. Anyhow, let's go back over to the computer. We have our terminal open, and what we're going to do there is we need in the terminal, and this may all seem new, we're looking at our home directory. So what we want to do is put cd for change directory space, and we're going to go to documents with a capital D. It does matter if it's lowercase or capital. Now we're in documents, we can hit ls to list what is there. We see the arch. Now that we are in that directory, we're going to type in another command. This is dd, but before we do that, we need to, I need to think of the command. lsblk. Let's plug this drive back in, give it a moment to mount the USB drive that you see there. If you don't want to retype a command, you can just hit the up arrow and then hit enter again. So SDC1, SDC2 is our flash drive. SDC being the main designator for said flash drive. And then SDC1 and SDC2 are the partitions, but we know it's SDC. So again, we're in our documents folder. We'll hit ls. We can see there right here that we have our Arch Linux 2019-10-1 x86-64 ISO, and then also Reaper Media folder. That has nothing to do with this. All we are interested in is being in the directory where you have an ISO file. This is going to be a long command. Let's open up Chrome. We can do a little copy and paste. No. Something. Let's just solve this right now. We'll plug in an Ethernet cable. Cancel. Do we have internet now? Alright, so there are many tutorials out there. Just all you have to do is look up that and you'll get a feel for it. It may not be successful. If you've never done this, try and find a guide. But that's what I'm trying to do here, is do a simple guide for something that, how do I want to say it? Something that isn't quite so simple for a beginner. I'm trying to make it a little more simple. Now you could go download like Ubuntu or any one of the distros. Let's look it up and see what they're recommending these days. Is distro watch still a thing? Okay. So there's the latest distributions on the left. Wow, what a convoluted web page. Alright, tutorials and learning. Alright, too convoluted. Ignore all that. We'll get back here. Let's go to so they're going to do this. what you'll find if you want to go down the road of trying Linux, and there it is, that's what we're going to be working on. And this, oh, you can't see it, okay. Here's what we're going to be working on. Arch. We're going to install that, this particular distribution of Linux, but not on this laptop. We're going to do it on something else. But first, we've got to make the bootable USB installer. We could do it on Windows with Rufus. I figured we'll try the dd command. It's been a while since I've done that, and I'm starting to get back into it, so we're going to at least give it a shot. Their whole principle is keep it simple, stupid, but it's from a Linux, not really admin, but an experienced Linux user's standpoint of keep it simple, not simple as in for a beginner with this distribution. And no matter what it is, it all comes with a learning curve. There are some that are quite Windows-like. I think Manjaro is one. What we're running here is kind of Windows-like, like the OS that we're on now. And then you have Zorin is another one. A good place to start is Ubuntu. If you end up liking that, you could try Debian. Debian is what Ubuntu is based off of. Like it's built off of Debian. Debian's one of the oldest, not the oldest, but one of the older Linux distributions hanging around. So anyhow, let's close this and get on with the program. What fun it's gonna be. Ah, damn it, why do I always hit shift for that? Okay, so do I need to actually put the path in /? Where is the title of my ISO? ARCH. Can I put? Better typed in. We're not doing it that way. Arch Linux dash 2019.10.01 dash x86 underscore 64 dot ISO. And we're going to do a space after the space of equals, not plus, of equals /dev/SDC, and where the SDC comes from. So let's explain this. Let me finish typing this command out, and then I'll try and make sense out of it. A lot of times what you'll see if you're looking at a tutorial online, and sometimes they give actual examples where they'll say SDX, X being whatever your partition is. And when we did the LSBLK, we can see the SDC is indeed our flash drive. There's our 32 gig Samsung flash drive, and then it has two partitions on it. Now, one thing to note is when you do this, you are going to format the drive you're doing this to. Be careful not to do it to your system drive. I don't even know if it would actually complete. It might, and when you reboot, you're done. Make sure you're doing it to your USB drive if doing it this way. And whenever they type the SDX, the X is just a placeholder. You got to translate that to if it would be SDB, SDC, whatever it is. It should not be SDA. And depending on your distributions, they can how they name the hard drives or your actual drives can vary from system to system, a little different. Not too bad, but we don't, moving on, we don't want X, we want SDC is going to be our drive. status status, not plus, shit. Not plus equals. Let's see if this works. Do I need a space? Do I need a space today? No. Space and sync. Now, basically what this is, we're using the dd command here. I'm not even sure what that means. I know it's just part of, I've seen it at the beginning and at the end. And what we're saying is, if this is our file, because we have this directory, we may even be able to delete this. I'm not entirely certain. Like I said, I'm not a professional at anything, but I put it in for the sake of giving it a working directory. I don't know if I could have just did /documents. So I just did that. I know it is in that directory there because there's my home folder. And then after the home folder, you have documents, downloads, desktop, all that. And then in documents is where I have the file. So you're saying if this file here, that's the file name, you want to copy it or dd it to this device, and this should give us a status, and like we'll get the progress of how much is happening. I don't know if we can do this without doing being super user. Let's try it. 4M? What? You're lying to me. Oh, I think I know the error. Okay, so let's hit up. We have to back up quite a bit. Everyone, let's try this. Alright. No such file or directory, so we're going to try it again. And we're going to delete. No such file or directory. Dash 2019.10.1 dash x86 underscore 64.iso. Alright, so my command isn't working. We'll try another one here. And if all else fails, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to that. See, the error it's telling me is that it can't find that file. I'm reading it, and I don't see that I did a typo anywhere. ArchLinux dash 2019.10.01 dash x86 underscore 64.iso. Alright, so let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to try sudo. I don't think it's going to matter one bit. I think it's going to give the same error. Yes. No such file or directory. I'm not entirely sure that that is working. We should get more readout after it finishes if it is doing. It's hard to tell on this particular drive here. It doesn't have any lights. It's just a, you know, if you want to check it out, it's a nice little chunk of aluminum. No lights. Okay, so let's see what happened here. There's no way that finished. Unless it... Okay, possibly. I doubt it. Just to test. We're going to find out the hard way. We're going to see if we can get this USB that allegedly it just made. It should have taken a little longer than that, I thought, maybe. But maybe not. Alright. Either way, we're going to try and boot from this live USB. We'll do it on the laptop here and see what happens. We're going to type exit on our terminal and shut down. We'll go to shut down here. Power off. If that made that quick, that's pretty good. Alright, now that we're there. So apparently I had a typo. Maybe I hit a 0 or hit a O instead of a 0. You gotta watch out for that when typing commands in a terminal. If it's a long drawn or a long typed out command. Unless, like, I'm not keen at catching it with my eyes. I usually have to copy and paste some stuff, like how I copied the actual ISO file name and then pasted it, and it seemed to work then. But here's the test. We're going to find out. We're going to use F9 for our boot device. Okay, so can we see this? Not a chance, you hippie OBS application. You never let me do it. Alright, so we can see on the screen there, we'll zoom in a little, it does say USB hard drive, UEFI Samsung flash drive, or USB. We're going to go for the actual USB option, which is down. Let's see if we can get it to boot. And apparently it worked. It made a bootable. No way this is gonna... Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think we would get that lucky. I could share out the screen over HDMI. Right, let's go ahead. We're gonna move this out a little. We'll turn off our ring light. That will give us a little bit better look at it and zoom in on it slightly. Give me 1 second and I'm going to throw, so we can keep looking at this way, which sucks. I understand why people do it in a VM, and it's simply so they can you can see what you're doing. I mean, it makes sense to do it inside of a virtual machine. You can get a nice crystal clear picture on the screen. But hey, I'm doing this how it would go down in the real world, and this is how it would go down. This is what would happen. So let's take a moment and plug in our mouse and keyboard and give it a chance. We're going to turn the stuff on and off. Mouse and keyboard on and off. Alright, and it's working. Alright, looks good. However, what we're not going to do is install... We're not going to install on this laptop. We do have the bootable Arch Linux USB installer though. So we're going to go ahead and power the computer off. The whole idea was to make it APM not present. Boot. Yeah, we're not booting nothing. Get out of here. Power off. Get out of my face. Out of my face. Alright. So there's that much. Now we need to extract in this project. I thought it'd be a little fun. You know what, we'll just put you right there. Alright, so we have our mouse, our keyboard, not vitally important at this moment. Let's go ahead and load our optical drive back into the laptop. Pulled it out to boot. The Manjaro install that we were running from initially is on here. It's great to test it out, and that's something you'll find out if you do ever get into Linux, that you're going to want to start testing out different distros to see what stuff is like, and then not only how different distos function and how their package managers and everything about the distribution. You have different desktop environments, like how it's laid out, like a real widgety, colorful, cartoony type desktop environment would be KDE. Your standard blah desktop environment, kind of like what we were on, would be GNOME. I think the actual one that we were on when we were booted to this was Mate. I think, maybe, I'm not sure. I haven't kept track of all this stuff over the years. I didn't know I would need to make great content. I didn't know. Forgive me. Alright, so we're back to an optical drive and just the one internal SSD that's in this laptop. Sadly, it's back to a Windows laptop. But I could not get Adobe Audition hacked onto it and running well enough for editing the podcast, so I just kind of, gave up on that aspect. We take it back to Windows. It does run on Windows fine. Adobe starts supporting Linux users. Make your Creative Cloud applications native to Linux. There's a whole group of people out there that would love to hand you their money. I pay Adobe money myself. I pay for a plan, and yeah, I wish they had those apps available and not running them under Wine or Play on Linux that uses Wine also, or any other hacky way that people have gotten whatever versions of an Adobe product to run on Linux. I want like a native, updated, current version straight from Adobe. That would be great. Alright, so you see the power supply coming out. We're going to keep our HDMI cord out. Let's get... What are you doing? Give me that wire. Desktop? What were you thinking? You can have the short Ethernet cable. I want the long one for this project. Okay, so we have a power supply here. We've got our bootable flash drive. Let's swing this over. Get a little bit better view. We have our SSD. Bootable USB, mouse, keyboard, dongle for said keyboard. Now let's get our motherboard, which is already set up. This is my test bench. Zoom that out a little. This is the test bench that I have, since we don't have an actual case, and yes, you can get a screwdriver or whatever and contact the two pins to start it up, or you can get a momentary switch and wire it to a pin header. It looks something like that. Just covered it in heat shrink. It has the two pin header that goes down, jumps the two pins with the momentary switch, and bang, start your test bench up. Are these a real thing? I don't know, but they should be. if they're not. Alright, so let's plug back into our power switch. We have a RAM Intel Core i7-4790K, I believe. We've got our USB install media. Let's get our monitor plugged in, which we're going to run this out to OBS for the actual install. That way you will be able to see something versus looking at a crappy screen. Did you ever route a cable and it's just like super frustrating because the way it's routed, the cable will not lay nicely the way that you want it to? Every day that happens here. Alright, so we have our display. We are going to get internet. Let's bring this around. I guess we didn't need this super long one, but we have it. Undo the Velcro on our cables. Coming from our power supply, we're going to need our 12-volt rail. We're going to plug the dual 12-volt rail in. Let's turn that back on since we're not doing the laptop one. Do you see that effect of straight lines? It's horrible. Lines that should appear straight, and especially when you zoom in on a motherboard. Better lens, I think, will fix that, but alright, we got our USB installer. We'll put that back here for safekeeping. USB mouse and keyboard that we're going to be working on the install with. One dongle. Actually, it's the dongle that came with this keyboard and trackpad combo, but if you get the Logitech unifying software, or Logitech, I think unifying receiver software, whatever, it's something like that. Just look up Logitech unifying and hit Google it. There's actually software where you can take, and if you have a newer Logitech, and by newer I mean a Logitech USB receiver that has some variant of that little symbol on it, and you have a mouse and keyboard that are compatible with it, you can program, I think, up to 5 devices to one receiver. So yeah, so I always had this, and the receiver for it is the one that's plugged in, and this was a mouse that the keyboard got broken out of a set, so just paired the mouse to its receiver, and they're actually have a spare receiver in the bottom of the mouse that one would get lost or break. We could just pair these both up to the one that is spare here. So there's that. That much of our test bench is there. We'll put this where we have some room. We're going to throw our SSD down here. We need a SATA cable. It's true, 128 gigabyte Bamsun SSD. Bam, son. Let's plug into SATA port 0. Where can we park this safely? Let's put it out of the way. Alright, we need our 20 plus 4 pin power connector. And then we also need a power cable for SATA. Just to avoid hassle, we're going to use the very end of the cable to give us more length to let the cables lay. We don't want anything kind of puncturing our SATA data, power wires, anything. And with that, we have your basic test it out of the case test bench scenario set up right here. We've got a motherboard. We've got the 20 plus 4 pin power. The 12-volt rail, in this case, it's a dual 12-volt rail header that we plugged into, and we did plug both in. We have our CPU, 2 sticks of RAM. We have our boot / system drive, which is going to be Linux, 128 gigabyte Bamsun SSD, and our Roswell power supply, and not much else. A mock-up power switch. We're going to get out a USB keyboard for the time, or a wired keyboard just for the time being, simply because when booting, the wireless aspect doesn't always 100% work out the best. So we're going to plug this wired keyboard in momentarily until we get booted into the BIOS, and we're going to set up, what is it, F12 for the boot options on Gigabyte. Not entirely sure. We'll remember though. We'll get there. So here's our basic test bench out of a case. We are going to put it into a case, a fairly big one, and the case is on wheels. So that is going to be kind of cool when we get to it. All right, let's switch over. In OBS, we have that. We're going to power on. Actually, go out here and power on. We need power to the power supply. And I think we've got power. Do we? Do we? Yes, we do. All right. Fire it up. Repair. We're going to hit F12. While I go back in and switch this OBS source over to custom. And we'll hit OK. We're going to transform, reset, and there's our boot menu for our Gigabyte board. We're going to boot just the Samsung flash drive 1100, and that should take us directly to our Arch setup. Our wireless is working. We won't have a mouse yet. Plug this wired keyboard and get it out of the way. Alright. If you move, hit your up arrow or up or down arrow. Yeah, I think down, and then you can just take it right back up to the top. It will stop the countdown. There's a countdown timer when it first gets here. That's why I moved it, and it isn't proceeding any farther on its own. So far so good. Everything looks good. We're going to boot Arch Linux. Hopefully our BIOS settings are favorable to this distro. It's not gonna do us in the long run. Did I lose? You're gonna boot, right? I wonder if it's the resolution. I may have to plug into a monitor. I'm hoping not. Tell me we gotta plug into a monitor just because of some goofy resolution. Ah, what fun. What fun this is. You try to do something fun and you hit the wall. Let's try device default and see if that is going to work. Alright, OBS. Wrong mouse, wrong mouse. Alright, custom device default, deactivate, activate. And there we have it. When you first get booted to your live install media, there are distros that have a graphical, like a GUI, graphical user interface for the installer. Man, that is tough to see. What can we do about that? Can we make it a little bigger? A little bigger. Alright, so we're booted up. We have our drive. What is it asking for? Root at arch ISO. Okay, so this is our terminal that we're in. Anyhow, moving on. With this, let's my chat's not working today for some reason. I was just taking a brief look at that, and it's definitely not working. So once we're here, let's start out with fdisk / dev / would be SDA. Are they naming SDA? Command M for help. Actually, did it quit? You know, okay, it was quit. So SDA with that partition, then we have our 32 gig USB install media. So SDA is our hard drive. SDA1 has the one partition on it. The command to find the hard drive, I think there's other commands where you can get it like so it's easily readable, like in like under human understandable terms, but I just always use the lsblk. Type that in, you'll get a list of your drives in the system. So we do know SDA, so let's go back. We'll hit our up arrow to get to our other command. We want fdisk /dev / SDA. It's waiting on a command, so what we need to do is make some partitions on the disk. Changes will remain in memory only until you decide to write them. Be careful before using the write command. Alright, so oh, we're okay. If we do it this, This is a very manual way. How much? Let's take a look online, actually, to see what. Let's get the recommended. Do we need a swap partition? That recommend. Yes. Linux and Ubuntu. Do they not have GPT? MBR, GPT. Boy, what do we go with? MBR or GPT? Not quite sure. Either way, let's get back over to here. And alright, so N, when you're in fdisk, N creates a new partition. If you type N and hit enter and then type P and hit enter, it will be a, it sets it as a primary partition, and then you can select the number P, makes it primary, whole disk. Oh, see, this is why making the window bigger in OBS was not a wise move. Let me move that real quick and bring this back. So I said, this is, if I took and recorded this and edited it down, actually, that was dumb. Let's do this, reset. Transform, reset. Okay, much smaller, I understand that. We'll try and keep it readable. Alright, after we hit the N for the new partition and P to make it primary, gotta do this all over again. It's too small. Too small on my screen for me to read. So it's gotta be too small for anybody else out there. We're literally gonna drag it around. It tells us the size of the hard drive. You can see there. And then you can see boot, start. And I don't think we want to use the whole, how do I say? The whole hard drive, the whole partition. I don't want to do it all on one. I think we're going to do two partitions, and with the way RAM is currently, like system RAM, I don't think we even actually need a swap partition. Some people swear by them. A swap partition is not always necessary. I don't think it's as necessary in today's world of computers as it was in like the 90s, early 2000s. Anyhow, we're going to select the 0, and no command, so 1. What's going on here? Do I not have to? Oh, never mind. It selected the partition number. Okay, so size. Alright. We still... damn mouse. No, we're here. We're here. Okay. new primary. 512 bytes. It's been a while. SDA1, I don't want to use the whole one. And does it do it in megabytes? So let's do that for that. It's like 14,000. This is probably 100% wrong, but yeah, oh yeah, 100% wrong. Alright, new primary 2, 1. Why is it not accepting the actual, how do I say it? The actual, what I want to tell you. You know what I should have did? I wonder if it's possible. Let's type quit and get out of here and see if CF disk is on here. I doubt it. Shut up. Okay. This I like better. CF disk. Am I going to be successful with it though? I don't know. It's been a while on all of it. But let's transform, reset you. I hope that's readable on a bigger screen. I'm thinking that it should definitely be. Resize, delete, bootable, type, help, and what info are they giving me? Dev SDA1, that isn't, okay. This is gonna be tough. I can barely read this on my screen, but we're gonna go for it. Delete, resize, quit, type, help, write, and dump. Okay, so I can read that there. So let's delete this current partition. What we want to do is we're going to create a new partition. 119.26. No, we don't want to do that. We want to do, we're going to do, what should we do? 20. We'll do 20.0. G, okay, 20G, let's try that. 20G is what they're telling me, putting G for gigabytes. So 20 gig. And we want to make, is that going to be primary or bootable? Yes, we want it primary. We'll make it primary. So we have that partition, and then we need to select our free space, and we want to create another new one. So up here at the top, I don't have a mouse to show you, but just up at the top, that first one is a 20 gig partition that we made. This one here is our free space still remaining, so we don't want to just keep changing the size of the 20 gig partition we made. We have the 20. Now we want to move over to the free space that's left, and we're going to do a 2. We're going to hit enter on new and delete that. And we're going to hit 2G, capital G, and that will make 2 gigabytes. What is that other thing? Sorry, I gotta zoom this in to see the bottom of the screen again. Read it. Primary extended. 1 primary, 0 extended, 3 free. I'm not sure. Swap. I'm not sure what swap is. Basically, I don't think we need to make, it's not going to be extended. So we have 2 gig primary extended. We'll do primary on the 2 gig one. Did that work out, the 2 gig? And then going down to the rest of our free space, 97.76, we're going to make this one, we're going to hit new. We're going to use the remaining size, make it primary. Now, we want to pay attention. This is going to be our home partition with the 97 point whatever gigabytes. This is going to be our swap. This will be your like system partition, like where you can this. I'm trying to think how to say it so it makes sense. Anyhow, done type. No damn way. I can't see the bottom of that at all. Alright, so the top one here, we need to make it bootable. The partition type. This is where I really gotta zoom. I gotta pay attention to that little list there. Okay, where is ext4? 80. Okay, it would be 83 Linux. That's correct. So we'll hit enter for 83 Linux. Okay, and then our 2 gig one, we want to take and make that swap. So use your up down arrow, select the 2 gig, and then you can do the left and right arrow to go to the type. So we want type, and then we want to make that Linux swap / Solaris, which is going to be right there. Move up one and then hit enter, makes that swap. And then this is the 97 gigabyte partition. This is the one that we want. We want this also in Linux. A3 Linux. And I think that's it. What we want to do is write these changes to the disk. And we're going to type yes and hit enter. We have that, and then we should be able to, unless I forgot something, we're going to quit and move on. We're back at the prompt in our terminal. This is where we continue. Alright, moving on. What do we want to do? So we want to mount space slash, and it's a slash with the question mark, dev slash, with our partition, or our with our hard drive, how we partition it, we have the three partitions, 1, 2, 3. The first one is the system partition. The second one is the swap, and then the third is the home. Perhaps you could do those in any order you wanted. I just always have done it that way when I did do it. And what we need to do now is we need to mount the file system. If I'm not forgetting anything and I'm thinking back, we want to do mount space / dev, and then we need the partition. So we need to do SDA1, as you can see at the top there, the very first partition. So it'd be SDA1 space / MNT. Oh, what did I do? Did I not create a file? Actually, we kind of did this in, how do I want to say it? CFDisk. I tried FDisk and then we did CFDisk, and we kind of did this. You can also do it from the command line. Thinking about it, it's been so long since I played with manual installation like this. I'm trying to remember it. Looking. Those graphical installers are great, but not relying on them is what always made it fun in learning and reading through guides and man pages. What does it make? fs.ext4 / dev / sda1. Okay, so it is there. Proceed. Yeah, why not? Let's hit yes. We'll do it. We'll see if we can break it. Alright. So basically we did what we did in CFDisk and attempted to do in FDisk manually on the command line there. You can also, that's the two ways that I've done it, are that, typing it, and then, how do I want to say it? Oh, with CFDisk. Another one, like the other partition, would be, for the swap, would be make, MK was make SWAP, and then we want / SDA2 is our swap partition. And then after you would do that, the same thing. We have the partitions that we created, and then we're going to turn the swap, or I guess turn it on, if that's a term, swap on space / dev / SDA2. And there we are. And then we had our third third partition, make fs.ext4 / dev / sda3. Alright, so now after making file system, we have mounted the actual file system at, we have a mount point, which is the /mnt. And I'm not great at explaining this. And do we need to do it for home, for the home directory? That's the only thing I don't remember. Alright, time to start actually installing. Before we do that, we need to check our internet. If that hasn't been set up, IP space link, IP space link or IP link will give you your internet, or give you info about your actual internet. I wish I had a way to mouse around so you could see this here. Did I typo that? Okay, so that was just a little quick test to see if you have internet, and you can see the ENP2SO a few lines up, like under number 2, is our Ethernet connection, and we do indeed have internet. We still have the file system mounted, so we're going to go ahead and proceed. I'm probably screwing up by not making a mount point for the home directory, but it's alright. Another thing we can do, and I don't even know how important this is, I suppose we could do it all later. Is to set your system clock, doing it that way. This is all out of order, but I'm trying to remember. Alright. Now we need to install the base packages, which basically leaves you right where you are now at a command prompt until you get everything set up. Yeah. You're gonna have nothing. You're gonna, I mean, you have a fully working system, but you have to have, you gotta have, what is it, X server or X server? I think. Too much. Haven't done it for a while, trying to get back into it. Having the system partition mounted, we're going to do pack strap, and this is an old method. And now we wait. This is that real-time thing. How long is it going to take to get this done? All those packages you see there in the packages, the whatever, I can't, it's too small for me to read it easily. $138, that's what it says. It's going to install all those, and while we wait. There we go. There's the full readout of what it looks like. And imagine if it was full screen, it would probably be a lot better. Let me see if I switch to full screen, if it makes sense and I can actually read it. Oh, no. Nope, not at all. trying to get it full screen for me. Sorry for blowing that up to a different size. In the meantime, I'm looking at something else. Manual setup, I guess. There are massively harder things. I attempted and succeeded one time, attempted many times doing a complete Gen 2 install. What a nightmare. I'll probably never attempt that again. Arch is about as crazy as I get with anything that I've ever tried. Definitely not for a beginner, but if you were to undertake it and follow any guide, like at Arch Linux or any of the guides online, yeah, that's what you would expect to take and install your system. Let's peek back over at it and check on and see what it's doing. So getting our packages installed, soon it will be back to where we can type again and finish setting up the system. We have a few other things. I think we have to set the location. We didn't do any of that. We got to pick our time zone, set the location. We could actually set up our keyboard layout if we wanted to use something like other than US. We have to set a root password, which that's going to be fun. Alright, so still going. It's actually running, so it's finishing up the install of all those packages. We're going to get back to a prompt, and there we go. That part is done. We're almost to where we can do a reboot, but not quite. Not quite. Another thing, if we wanted to get a bunch of, and I'm not even sure. Oh my. Did we do it? I wonder how long that'll take. I want to get out of here. It's about time to go for the day. I guess we can skip that. We can always install them later. That's the great thing. There's some things you have to do now, but you don't have to do 100% everything now. You can kind of pick and choose when you're building your own system. And that's kind of what's attractive about Arch and other distros, where you build them the way you want them. I only installed the base system, not the base development. packages, only the base packages. Base development might be essential. There might be something missing. Hopefully not. Next, we're going to go with gen f stab, and there's guides for this all over online that if you want to follow and do an install for any particular system. But gen f stab space dash capital U space slash mnt, and then what was that, 2 sideways carets or greater thans space slash mnt slash etc slash fstab. I hope I typed that right. What did that say? I gotta blow this up again, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a tiny screen over here. I'm gonna assume that worked, just simply because this is where you want to change root, so it'd be arch arch dash ch root space slash mnt. Actually, do we need to do that before I hit enter? I'm trying to remember. Do we need to ch root into it? Is it mandatory? I think so. I think. Alright, kind of what you're doing is the way I understood it when I understood it better. Is you're changing your root from your install media to the new file system. We've been running from the USB and installing stuff using commands. And we had a mount point on the new file system we were working on. The ch root or change root is we changed the root from the USB over to the actual installed system, and now I probably did a few things out of order, but that's fine. We're going to go with a few commands. ln dash sf, ln space dash sf space slash usr slash share NFO. If I type it this that small, I'm really in trouble. What is it? How do we do this? United States. What is the one for you? I know it's New York is the one I want for the city. Is it United States? I can't do this without. I can't remember what the US one is for the United States part. We're backing out of that command. No good. Alright, so what we're looking at here is different locations. We need to go in and uncomment. The ones for English, that would be DEN. Alright, so let's find this now. US, English. We want to delete the comment at the beginning, and then go down one and delete this one here. Those are the two that I'm going to be using. What I used to edit this was nano, so that would be the nano, nano space slash etc slash LOC, I think LOCA LOCALE.gen. I'm not sure, or that's how you generate it. Alright, and we want to write it out, which is Control O. We're going to hit enter to keep it the same. That's the file that we just edited, and then Control X gets us back out here. It's coming back slowly, super duper slowly. Okay, that is the underscore slash US U. F-8. Our sideways caret. is the story here. Do we have a mic now finally? I don't know how long ago I lost it. So the last few things we did were, oh, what were they? Okay, so we installed Grub. I hope I had volume up till there. Probably not. We installed Grub. The actual bootloader, we had to grab that package and install it. And then we installed Grub to the hard drive itself, SDA, not SDA1, SDA2, or SDA3, not to a particular partition. We actually installed it just to the hard drive. And then we did the grub config file. We did make config and installed it. And then after that we did PASSWD. That is to set your root password. And right, what I was saying when I noticed that I had no mic was after you type PASSWD and it wants you to put in your password and then you'll have to confirm it. It shouldn't move. Like the cursor shouldn't proceed. You're not going to get dots or asterisks or nothing like that. It's simply just going to sit there. So let's put a password in. Going to hit enter, and then we're going to confirm the password by typing it again, and the cursor didn't move, nothing there. Password update is successful. If they don't match, you'll know it. You're not going to go much beyond that. Okay, so the only other thing I think you could do, and this may break the system, but let's try, while we're here, Pacman space dash capital SYU. I think we should reboot to do this. And, oh. Okay. That being said, let's reboot the system right now, just to find out. We'll type reboot now, and that may work. Okay, so we're running in chroot. We need to. Did I do that in chroot? And I didn't need to. I did, didn't I? Yes. So we'll do it now. If I broke the system, I massively broke it. There's only a few steps we'd actually need to do. All that stuff was done as root. I think it should be okay. But it's a good thing we didn't gain a whole lot and we didn't lose a whole lot. So let's try that reboot command again. Reboot now. And let it reboot. We're going to pull our installer, set this to default, transform reset, and we may or may not have a working system. That was our gigabyte screen, and then we have our Arch Linux. Not great. Let's see if this is actually going to boot up or fail massively. It's been a while since I've done any of this stuff other than like install Linux distro from like a distribution. I don't know. I can say that I much prefer the manual way of building your system, but I also say I'm lazy and it's much easier to install from distros. I mean, you can just click a couple things and you have a visual representation of what you're doing versus typing something out. So, if you do want to try it, there are guides out there for it. My guide is nowhere near the best. I'm not great at teaching stuff. I can physically show somebody how to do something usually, but Did it fail? Did our system? I gotta zoom in on this a little bit out there. I need to see if this actually like failed or what it is. File 0 block starting, and did it not boot or is it attempting? Should have already booted. Of course, doing those few steps when under CH root may have broke the system indefinitely. So I just get I get to laugh at myself from this point on. So yeah, there you have it. Horrible, horrible, horrible tutorial. I kind of have it, but oh, what is that? What happened? All right, log in. Okay, so we're gonna hit root. We didn't actually add a user. We're gonna hit root, and then our root password, we'll type it in. It still shows that you're not typing when you type your root password in, kind of a security feature. You don't see it, you can't see how many letters. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. And basically we're booted into our Arch install. Whether it's broken or not is yet to be determined, but we definitely are booted. We're not to the USB installer. Here it is. Here it exists right there. That's what we installed from. We have it on the 128 gigabyte Bamsun SSD, and yeah, there you go. Booted to the system. It's not much of a system. Where you would proceed from here is you're gonna go and do something. Okay, you would go in and upgrade Pac-Man if possible. You gotta set up your internet if you're using wireless. There's a few other things you need to do. How do I want to say this so it's simple and makes more sense? You have a working computer now, functioning. You don't have a GUI, no graphical user interface, but you do have a functioning Arch Linux system at this point. I know, all that long drawn out mess for this, but you still have to go and you're going to install further packages. You're going to set up like Xorg in the Xorg server, which will give you your graphical user interface. If you have an NVIDIA or ATI or AMD graphics card, you'll need drivers for that, or the generic Linux, or the whatever offshoot of driver for Linux that you would use with those cards, if not using the proprietary ones. You're going to need a desktop environment. GNOME, KDE, ICE, WM, I think, could be a window manager. Maybe not a desktop environment, but it's a window manager, I think. You got KDE, Mate, LXDE, I think, is one. XFCE4. A lot of different desktop environments. OpenBox is a good, fast, reliable one. It's one of my favorites. I think we're going to end up setting up or installing OpenBox and some of the things from GNOME if we don't have to get the whole entirety of the GNOME repositories, everything that comes with GNOME, but we may need to. And then you would set up to have it to boot to the graphical user interface, and that's, yeah. But real world on somebody trying to remember how to do it, should have looked over a few tutorials. I have looked at them earlier. I thought about doing this video a couple months back, but like I said, work, life gets in the way. It is what it is. We actually got Arch though installed, so hurrah. Possibly tomorrow we'll throw this stuff into the case. But yeah, thanks for hanging out if you did for that long drawn out stream. We'll be back again with something tomorrow. You be the judge. Leave comments. Tell me. Something completely different. Was it horrible? Can we learn anything? Probably not. I'm not the best teacher. Anyhow, thank you for watching any and all that you have. Have a good rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Certainly it has to be one of those on this wonderful flat earth. Liars! Liars! It's round. But yeah, thank you for clicking the link. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.